Welcome to the J Squared Horror Podcast, where two lifelong horror fans talk all things horror. Pour yourself your favorite drink and hang out. Here are your hosts, Josh and Jake.
Hey guys, welcome to the J Squared Horror Podcast. I'm Josh.
And I'm Jake.
And on today's episode, we are going to be discussing
Scream 1 and 2, directed by Wes Craven.
I was going to say the taglines, but that would take half the episode. So, what would you like to let anyone new to the channel know?
As always, like and subscribe on YouTube.
Pretty please.
You also find us on Spotify,
Yep.
Apple,
Mm-hmm.
Google,
Mm-hmm.
and Anchor. Also on Instagram, J Squared Horror Podcast. Link tree in the bio. New episodes every Thursday. That was good.
Yeah, that was our best one. Every Thursday, two lifelong horror fans decide to get together and talk all things horror. Sometimes it's movies, sometimes it's themes, sometimes it's nothing. We decide, we put it out, and we are super excited to cover Scream. Also in the link tree in our bio on Instagram, you'll find two other things. Those two other things are www.jsquaredhorrorpodcast.com. The reason we like saying that is so it gives you guys an opportunity to connect with us easily and organized. So if you want to be on an episode, if you have an episode idea, if you've done your own movie, if you're interested in contacting us for anything, www.jsquaredhorrorpodcast.com. Also, you'll see a code. That code link takes you to paranormalitymagazine.com. Paranormality Magazine is a magazine that discusses all things strange, unusual, and paranormal. Right now, they are throwing a promotion for March, which is going to be when this episode comes out. If you use the code J2Horror at checkout, not only will you get 10% off of your purchase, but you are eligible for a free shirt. This shirt is something that they're doing through one of their other people that are involved with the magazine. It's going to be super cool. If I find pictures of it, I'll put it on our Instagram. So remember, J2 Horror, that is J, the number 2 Horror, at checkout to save 10%. And for this month, you will also get a free t-shirt from them. So use the code, get the magazine. It's super cool. So, Scream 1, the original Scream. I gotta say, I just want to go ahead and get this out because I think it's the best first 20 minutes, 10 minutes of a film in the history of horror.
In the history of horror.
I really do. Just because Drew Barrymore at the time is like the Jenna Ortega or just the up-and-coming star of the mid-90s.
I love Drew Barrymore.
I love Drew Barrymore to this day.
You ever seen Never Been Kissed?
No.
It's a good movie.
No.
Okay.
No, but 50 First Dates and Wedding Singer? Sign me up.
Good movie.
Good movies.
Ziza.
Movies. But yes, I do think that it is, and it's now watching it, obviously we've seen it a billion times.
Yeah.
But imagine that feeling in 1996. That beginning. It's a game changer.
Yeah, because it plays off of Psycho.
Yeah.
Obviously. A well-known star, beginning of the movie. You see her going against the killer, and then her dying, which you don't expect.
Mm-mm.
You know? And she was, I know, huge on far as like the publicity for the movie leading up to it.
Yep. And it's like, it's different, and obviously the sense of it's a game. This killer is very unorthodox and like not what we're used to.
Yeah.
And obviously since Scream, a lot of things have come out, obviously kind of fed off of Scream. But in my humble opinion, I think that this is probably one of the best first 10 to 15 minutes, maybe 20, I'm not sure. I didn't clock it, of any horror film. Just as far as because a lot of times we say they're slow burns or they're this or they're that or there's a lot of buildup.
Yeah.
This movie says, fuck your story. We're just going to come out and kill the biggest star in this movie.
My only issue with that opening scene is when he asks the question, who is the killer in Friday the 13th? And she says Jason, and he says she's wrong. He didn't specify which Friday the 13th.
I think he does.
Does he?
I think he does.
He says the original Friday the 13th or just Friday the 13th?
I think he says Friday the 13th part 1. Because, you know what? Let's boomer this.
Yeah.
Let's boomer this.
Right now. Let's find out.
Dude, I'm checking right now. Scream 1.
I'm pretty sure he just says, who's the killer in Friday the 13th? And she just says Jason, which is technically a right answer if you don't specify only the first one.
How do I find it?
So she died for no reason.
She didn't die for no reason.
I mean, if her death was based upon getting the answers correct.
Oh, no. It says phone voice. Okay, answer this question.
Okay.
You live. Who was the killer in Friday the 13th? Casey, Jason. It was Jason. But Friday the 13th is the only movie called Friday the 13th.
True.
So technically, she's wrong.
But when people talk about Jason, they always say Friday the 13th. They don't specify part 2 and moving forward.
I know, but still, that's why she got killed. You got to know your horror game. It'd be like trivia. If we're like, who's the killer in Friday the 13th? And you're like, Jason. We're going to be like, no, you're dumb.
We would specify which one, though.
I mean, I'm just saying. It's his game. Just like trivia is our game. It's very much ours when we do trivia.
Yeah, that's true.
But yes, so I thought that was super cool. And if, do you think in that exact same scenario, you're getting all the questions right?
100%.
Yeah. I even think I would.
Well, you would, yeah.
Which is, oof.
He asked
very easy
questions. Yeah.
But you're fearful. You just saw your boyfriend die, and the third question is going to be the hardest,
True, but
the first cut is the deepest, according to Sheryl Crow.
The first cut is the deepest.
Bet you guys weren't expecting that in the Scream episode, were you?
But I feel like, so let me ask you this.
Yes.
People always talk about how Scream revamped or rejuvenized horror in the 90s. How do you feel about that? Do you believe that?
If I'm watching 80s to 90s, yes.
Okay.
Like, it's hard for us to say that because we're coming at it much later.
Sure.
We are. We were so young.
We didn't watch it when it
first came out. So I honestly think, like, if we were to pluck these two people right now, put them in 1996, we would be like, holy fucking shit, dude.
This fucking changed the game.
Is this Smile? But yeah, I really think that it did make that big of an impact because everything around the 90s horror, even post original Scream, is still not the best.
Yeah, but it's all kind of Scream oriented.
It's all very shot. The cinematography is very similar.
Yeah, and
we talked about it on Valentine,
probably.
I think.
Yeah, that seems right. And it's funny because when I think of Scream, I think of I Know What You Did Last Summer. Yeah. Who was written by the same person. Yeah, Kevin Williamson. For both of them.
So in these, I mean, we've all, if you haven't seen Scream, I'm not quite sure why you're tuning into a podcast that not a lot of people have heard of, but it is on Paramount Plus. I think all of them are. I think like 1 through 5 are on there for your viewing pleasure.
So watch them all.
Watch them all.
Yeah.
In preparation, we're trying to prepare you guys for the Scream 6 coming out.
I'm not sure how well we will help.
Yeah.
We're trying.
But so it is a great movie. It has a lot of good characteristics, has a lot of good characters. My question is, the reason we're not going to kind of walk through this, and I don't think that's going to fit this style of episode very well, we're just going to kind of talk about Scream 1 and 2. And like maybe putting ourselves in it a couple of times, because I think that's easier for everybody. You've seen the fucking movie. If you haven't, you've seen Scary Movie. It's the base fucking same thing.
Yeah.
So,
which was the original title for Scream?
Yeah, that is a fun fact that it was supposed to be called Scary Movie. But I'm thinking if you were, I know the answer to this question, but I don't know if everybody else does. If you were a character in this movie, who would you be? Randy Meeks.
100%.
Yeah, I liked thinking that I would be, but I wouldn't. You are the Randy Meeks. Yeah. I am not.
Who would you be then?
I'm fucking Stu. You can't tell me I'm not Stu.
Because after I said to Randy, I thought, Stu, for sure.
Yeah, I'm 100% Stu. Dude, yeah. I am Stu. And that leads me to another thing I wanted to ask. So, in the scene where Sidney Prescott first has her interaction with Ghostface, because you see Ghostface against Drew Barrymore's character. I can't think of her name right now. It's fine. You guys know we're bad at names.
Her last name's Becker.
Yeah. So, if you compare both of those killers, like now that we've seen it a bajillion times, you know they're two different killers.
Yeah.
The first one's not as goofy.
Yeah.
A lot more efficient. But I think that first one that you deal with against Sidney is Stu. Even though the boyfriend comes in the window with the phone in his pocket, which
makes sense that it be Stu.
Yeah, I do not. I think you can actually, while you're rewatching this movie as somebody that's seen it a bunch of times and you know who the killers are, you can almost, and it pisses me off about 5. And I talked about this in the episode. Yeah. It's like the size differences, and you're trying to make me believe that that's the one thing that Scream 1 did right. Scream 2 didn't. Scream 1's the only one that did it right.
Yeah.
The original one is the only one that got the multiple killer, the sizes make sense, the killing styles make sense, and it worked.
Their personalities.
Yes, it
worked.
Once
you get to figure them out, just their body language when they're Ghostface, it makes sense.
It makes sense, because Stu is like the super like coming through the doors and like super getting beat up because he's not that good at his job.
He's just a part of it.
He's just a part of it. He's just a ploy. And I thought that was really cool going into rewatching it this time. I was every bit of 10 feet away from Matthew Lillard in Texas.
Oh yeah,
when he was just taking pictures of fans,
just walking.
Like he came out from a signing area and was walking amongst us.
Yeah,
like he's not Matthew Lillard. And whether it's horror or Scooby-Doo or wherever you know him from, he's a pretty big star.
Yeah.
And 13 Ghosts,
I agree with that. Yeah.
He is you see his face, you know who the fuck he is.
Yeah.
And what's crazy is when we went to Texas, we had not a lot of intention of meeting any of them.
No.
Because we know how conventions work, because we are convention experts. Meaning we had been to one already. And we knew by the line of Bruce Campbell that this shit's going to be bananas. Because the Scream cast, it was Nev, it was Matthew.
Kennedy.
Yeah. Who?
Jamie
Kennedy. And it was Skeet.
He was there?
Skeet was.
Didn't see him.
Yeah, he's short. He's a short one. They were all there, and their lines were day long. Like, if you went there on Friday, it was all day. If you went there were people that, like, we would be walking around, like, grabbing drinks from the bar, and they would have to, like, sit down because the person's going to lunch. And we're just trying to meet, Dick Warlock.
Yeah.
Because that's who we are. But what was crazy is they had all of the, like, the 3, it was Skeet, it was Jamie Kennedy, and Matthew Lillard on one side. And then Nev Campbell was on the other side of the building by herself.
Which is fine, because I almost bumped into her.
Yeah, you almost bumped into her. And then I saw somebody get yelled at because they tried to just snap a picture of her. And for some reason, that's frowned upon in that establishment.
Which I think is interesting. I should have just bumped into her.
You should have.
Because I was like less than a foot away from her.
You should have bumped into her and then acted like she hurt you, even though the size differential was awesome.
Just laid up.
I need 2 signatures made out to J Squared Horror Podcast. And I won't sue.
Also, she shouldn't be so close.
She was... Like, we walked in the main door, you bang a left, and she was in the corner.
Yeah, so that was the second time I almost, walked into her. You remember the first time?
Mm-mm.
Okay, so we were waiting to go into Stu's party.
Oh, my God, yeah, they were coming through to do the pictures.
And I'm standing, I start, walking backwards.
For no reason.
And I felt like a hand on my back. And right behind that person was Nev Campbell.
Yeah. The security guard was like, hey. And Jake just like,
I'm just walking around.
Yeah, the after party at Stu's house. That was
which was a good time.
You had a blast, man.
I did.
I was jet lagged from our hour time difference. It fucked me all up.
That 1 hour?
Woo-wee. Was it positive or negative? I still couldn't tell you. But yeah, so I think it is cool because, you would definitely be Randy and I would be Stu. And I feel like that's true throughout the whole process of this film. Not maybe in the sense that kind of like Stu sometimes comes across as like bullyish, like especially towards Randy.
Yeah, I never really got that. He seems like a lackey to Billy the entire movie to me.
It's his mommy issue.
He never seems like a bully per se, but
yeah, I guess you're right.
When you first watch it, he wasn't someone I would suspect. Like, this guy can't pull this off. If he does, he's just a sidekick to someone else.
Do you remember when they're talking in the movie store?
I do.
And
when he's playing with his earlobe?
That wouldn't be me. I don't play with random men's earlobes. Or friends' earlobes for that fact. Jake can account for that. I do not randomly play with his earlobes.
I can't account for that.
But he pretty much figured out the movie. Meeks does. Randy does.
Yeah.
Yeah, he called it.
Yeah.
Minus, I don't think he called Stu.
No.
But he definitely called the boyfriend.
Yeah. Because Billy is super.
Billy is Billy.
He's creepy.
He is.
He's a creepy dude.
Very creepy.
And he comes off like, I'm up to something, but you can't prove it.
Yeah. Yeah. And in that scene where he comes in the window, drops the phone.
It reminded me of Clarissa Explains It All.
It reminded me of Nightmare on Elm Street.
Oh, yeah, that too.
Yeah.
Another Wes Craven movie.
Wes Craven movie.
That makes sense, yeah.
Yep. When the boyfriend the girl gets killed in the bedroom, and then he's like, it wasn't me. And they're like, dude, nobody else was in there.
It had to be you.
Yeah. Do you think that Ghostface is scary?
No. Do you?
No.
My only issue with Ghostface is he's just a regular person who a lot of times is super clumsy. You can get by him really quick. He's not scary at all.
Which is very intriguing to me that they would choose this revamping of horror, which horror is supposed to be, as we all know, me and Jake have talked about it 1.5 billion times, invoking fear. And this does, and it doesn't necessarily make sense. But I did hear that one of the biggest reasons that Scream has the fan base that it does is because Ghostface isn't a singular thing. It isn't a monster. You cannot stop the idea of Ghostface cannot be stopped because it can be 100 different people.
Yeah. And
so I had never looked at it from that angle, and I appreciated it.
Okay.
I can appreciate it because we're now on our 6th film, and it's not just what happened to Michael Myers in Halloween Ends cannot happen to Ghostface.
Yeah, it's not the same person.
It's not
coming
the same
back
old person coming back.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
So I appreciate that, and it is a big curve in what we're used to. Sure. Obviously, you wouldn't know that in the first Scream, but they are just normal fucking people in costumes.
I think when you compare like the heavy hitters, like the Jason, Michael, Freddy, Leatherface, it's the same person.
Yeah.
And the fact that this is one that's not is a very interesting,
It is interesting, and it can be fearful. It can be scary. Yeah,
because you literally never know who it is.
Because literally Ghostface could kick in my door right now and stab me with a Buck 119 special.
But you don't know who it is. It could be anybody.
Could be anyone.
Yeah.
So I did read that, and I was super excited about that because sometimes in our horror fandom, which we believe it or not, we do agree a lot.
Yeah, we do.
As far as like, obviously his favorite is Jason, my favorite's Michael. So like that off the gate is an immediate connection in horror.
Yeah.
Whereas if somebody came in and like maybe a year ago was like Ghostface is my favorite, I'd be like, which one? Why? Like, what do you mean? But the idea of Ghostface can be a terrifying concept because it's almost an unstoppable possession.
Yeah.
But it's not confirmed a possession. It's just somebody that hates somebody enough to put on the costume and go kill. So I think that's pretty cool. And it is always motivated. There's always a story and a reason. You may not like it, you may not agree with it, but Scream does that very well. They build up a story throughout the movie. The plot makes sense, even though you might not like it, their reasoning behind it, but at least there is a reason behind it. It's not just a random guy popping out of your dreams or the lake or a babysitter's house.
It's interesting though, because they always team up.
Yes.
Always team up.
Always.
Because realistically, it isn't a job one person could do. Because it'd be easy to figure out, to trace down one person.
It's always easier to trace down one person.
Yeah.
Because whoever is dealing with it is always thinking it's one person.
Yeah.
Cops are thinking it's one person.
Yeah.
Now, How, as the movies have progressed,
They can't figure out it's 2.
they can't figure out it's 2, blows my fucking mind. And that's what, and I enjoyed Scream 5. I did, and we did an episode on it, so I'm not going to go too much into that one. But just the difference between Scream 1 and Scream 2 shows you how quickly a franchise can take a turn for the worst. Now, they can still be successful and they can still be entertaining, but as far as what you got in the original is never going to be repeated. You hope for it, and obviously with the new one coming out now, we are hopeful for it because it's not going to be in Woodsboro. It's not going to be the same, hopefully not the same regurgitated story over and over and over.
I mean,
again.
I feel like, not to get too far into my predictions on Scream 6, but I feel like it's going to be someone who's like knows the Ghostface lore and trying to add themselves to it.
Which that's okay in a sense, but I can't have them being
what the last movie was
related or connected to them in a very close manner. I can't.
Yeah.
That's that, and it would be that simple for me. It's not a fucking boyfriend. It's not a fucking friend. I'm cool. Let's just go. Like, and that's the thing. Like the second one, it.
Do you like the second one?
I can watch it.
Okay.
I can enjoy most of the movie. But my whole thing about endings?
Yeah.
That's a big, big thing for me.
And Scream 2?
Yeah.
What's wrong with ending in that?
Once again, the killer doesn't match the killer. The physicality of the killer doesn't make sense. Now, what they did in this one to get away with it was, what's his name's character? The helper. What's that? Timothy Chalamet?
It's not Timothy Chalamet, but I know who you're talking about, though.
No, not Timothy. Jesus Christ, Josh. He would be good in the new ones.
That's new Ghostface. Didn't Chalamet.
Yeah. What if I somehow called that dude?
That'd be insane.
That'd be fucking wild. Oliphant?
It's close enough.
Isn't that his last name?
I know
He's the killer, though, right?
Yeah.
He's in cahoots
He
with the mom.
plays Mickey's character.
Mickey's character, yeah. The one thing I will say that 2 did a good job of is you were thinking it's going to be the boyfriend again.
I didn't think it was.
That's because that's
I feel,
you're
I feel like there's no way you'd have the same villain
back to back
twice.
Yeah.
That makes no sense.
Yeah.
And also, he seemed kind of dumb.
He was very dumb.
I feel like, this guy can't be good.
That's why Sydney was with him.
He's an idiot. Also, Scream 1 did so well. And I feel like when Scream 2 came out so close.
How many years was it?
A year at the most.
At the most?
I think all 3 came out within 4 years. The first 3?
Yeah.
Were within 4 years. They were cranking these Scream movies out.
So a year.
A year?
96, 97.
Yeah.
Jesus. That's too close, man.
I feel like that's good because if you wait too long.
There's a fine line. There's a fine line.
Who gives a shit now?
The worst part of there are many things that it's not that I don't enjoy them, they just hurt me.
Okay.
About Scream 2. And that meaning at the time of watching it, my boy, as you know, this guy's my best friend, and if he's Randy Meeks, what happens to Randy Meeks in the second one, bro?
Yeah, I'm dead.
But also, it didn't make sense that I didn't like what they did with his character. He is the guy that knows all. He knows how he survived the first one against all odds.
Uh-huh.
And for him to just get taken into a van and basically just bled out, I didn't like that. I don't feel like that is what would happen to him.
Yeah, I don't feel like Randy would be that careless.
I don't either. But then again, when you replay that scene in your head,
you wouldn't suspect to just.
You're not expecting to get killed in broad daylight,
walking by a van.
And I think that's what they were going for in Scream 2. It's like that crazy effect, which I've talked about, like Midsommar, and then Signs. How the daylight kills, they're always cheer me up and oh my God, that's so cool. Yeah. So I see what they were going for, but you don't do that to my boy Randy Meeks.
I agree.
You don't do it.
You don't.
And you have the TV van again.
Yeah.
Reuse of that fan service.
Yeah, I feel like, Scream 2. I'm all about sequels.
You usually like the sequel more.
Sequel.
So does Scream not fall into that category for you?
Okay. Not at all. Scream 1 is
the best Scream.
Yeah, of all of them.
Of all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you on that.
I think it's interesting when they're in their classroom and they're talking about sequels.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, and you know, Scream 1 was a play on the tropes of horror movies. So
Yep.
with Scream 2, they play on the tropes of sequels in horror movies.
Yes.
Which I think is very interesting. And they talk about the sequel always sucks.
The sequel always sucks, and they hit the nail on the head with this one.
Yeah.
Because the sequel sucked. And yeah, of course you're going to immediately think like it's like a cash grab, and they're obviously trying to pump out these movies because the 90s were struggling with horror.
They were.
And Wes Craven came in and said, check out what I can do. And it's, you know, and I'm looking at it how many ever years later, damn near 30 now.
Yeah.
So it is a little, you know, I'm going at it with a very modern approach, and the amount of times I've watched these, which does play an effect on some movies. You lose some of the appeal and some of the spark. But when you've been obsessed with the genre of movies for as long as we have, you kind of outburn some of them. And also, they're like the socially accepted ones to watch.
Scream movies?
Yeah, you know, it's fun, it's funky. The killer's like scary, but not scary enough to where it can't be like a date night movie. You know, it kind of fills a lot of these other things. Like, it's not too gory, even though there's some blood.
Would be a good date night movie.
I feel like Scream 1 would be a great, especially with the popcorn scene at the beginning. You
Scream
know,
2 is a good, you know.
Scream 2 is a good,
third
like,
date?
fourth date movie. And then if you get past, you know, third or fourth date, definitely Jason Takes Manhattan. So just keep that in mind if you're going through a horror movie date list.
If you want something long term,
if you want to know if she is the one, you just got to make sure that if you can get through the screams and if she enjoys Jason Takes Manhattan, she might just be the one.
I always think too, though. Imagine being Wes Craven. You created a Nightmare on Elm Street.
I can't.
And then a decade later, you put out Scream.
Because what's the time difference between The Thing and Halloween? Do you know off the top of your head,
I think
Mister?
it's 4 years. I think it's 78 to 82.
That's a pretty good. I gotta say, our two favorite, or no, I don't know. Does Cunningham drop in the list for you, or do you just enjoy the Friday the 13th movies? Like, what about your director list?
Just the movies.
I mean, we did our favorite directors.
Cunningham wasn't up there.
Cunningham's not up there.
Yeah, it's just the movies itself, but. John Carpenter and Wes were both
they're
there.
icons.
Yeah.
If there was a Mount Rushmore of
horror
directors, their two faces will be on it.
I would agree.
And I think obviously Cronenberg would be up there too.
Yeah.
But just because he changed the game. But Scream 2 also, you know, I get like trying to like he said he didn't fall for it with the boyfriend thing. I did for most of the movie.
No way you fell for that.
I did. Well, back then I did. Not now, no. Which kind of frustrates you when you're watching it, because as you're watching it now, you're like, it's not the boyfriend. Because I'm pretty sure he gets like cut in the arm. It's like he's not always there when the stuff's going down. So it's like literally, and I'm like, I get it, but like,
yeah, but he's so goofy with it.
Just so dumb.
Like, there's no way it's this guy. If it is this guy, he's doing the hell of an act of being someone not very smart.
Yeah, yeah. And then, you know, we haven't talked about one of my favorite characters. And I didn't say that I'm this person because I'm unfortunately not that far gone. But Dewey. We talked about Dewey a good amount in Scream 5 for obvious reasons.
Dewey.
But Dewey, in the first one, he gets the butt of a knife to the head and falls down some stairs, right? My boy doesn't ever leave a movie without a mark. Let's just say that. Because at the end of the day, Dewey may be the worst and best cop of all horror movies ever.
Yeah, in the second one, he had
both of them.
Nerve condition where his hand is like...
Yeah, he always has an extra injury heading into the
limp.
film.
Like, all right, I get it.
Well, the limp comes in 3.
He limps in 2, too.
Does he?
A little bit, not a slight...
But
not a huge limp, but slight limp.
When he gets killed in 2, you think.
Yeah.
Because this doesn't make sense to me.
He gets stabbed in the back again.
But he gets stabbed in the back so bad, he spews blood out of his mouth in front of Courtney Cox. And I'm just like, you know, maybe if Dewey would have died in part 2, you know, waiting till 5 to have him die wouldn't have hurt as bad, yes. Because we didn't fall in love with him that far.
Sure.
But he's just such, and I always immediately think of Doofy. Like it never doesn't pop into my head. What I like
about Dewey is you get to see him from deputy.
You do get to see the progression of his career.
To sheriff, to no longer on the force.
Yeah. He has the greatest arc
Yeah.
in the Scream franchise.
100%.
For sure.
Yeah.
And of course, you have to die if you have the greatest arc.
Yeah, too.
Which we find out in 5.
Which makes it hurt the most.
It does. It really hurt. But then the fact that that little girl says she's the one that did it.
I don't buy that.
Oh, dude. But Scream 1 and 2. I knew this was going to happen. Because honestly, you can go from Scream 1 and 2 to 5. So I'm very intrigued by next week's episode.
I mean, yeah, you could. 3 and 4 is our, they can be left out.
I can't wait to get into those next week.
There honestly could be just 3 movies going against this new one.
Yeah, it could be. Well, minus the new sheriff, because she doesn't come around until
4.
4?
Yeah.
I thought it was 3.
The blonde lady?
Yeah.
Yeah, 4.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she's
Is
in
it
4.
Hackett? No, that's another. What's her name?
Sheriff Hackett. Who's that? Hackett sounds so familiar. Who is that?
Who is Sheriff Hackett?
I know Sheriff Brackett from Halloween, but who's Hackett?
Is it from House of a Thousand Corpses?
It might be.
The dude that comes in the house
Dude, Hackett
with the fireflies?
Hackett sounds so familiar.
I think that was his name.
Okay.
And then the dude Doofy plays with him. I think that's Doofy's character's name.
It all came full circle again.
Dude, it's all right, so about part 2, not our favorite.
No.
Dewey should have died.
Yeah.
Randy Meek should have lived.
Gail has the worst haircut.
No, that's 3.
Is that 3?
That's 3. The bangs
with the bang?
3, bro.
What's her hairstyle in 2?
I'm not sure.
Let's find out.
She's normal. She rocking the Karen. Nothing too crazy.
Yeah,
nothing
not
too
feeling
bad.
that either.
But it's not as bad as Scream 3, bro.
Oh, speaking of Scream 2, the opening scene with the movie theater.
Oh my
and
God.
Dude getting killed in the bathroom.
I always think about Scary Movie with that wildly inappropriate scene that happens.
Oh, damn.
So it ruins it for me.
I haven't thought of that in years.
Dude, it ruins it for me.
Until you brought that up.
Yeah. Can't say it, guys. I'm sorry, but it's fucking wild. But yeah, he gets it, and it's Will Smith's girl.
Jada Pinkett.
Jada Pinkett's in this movie. It's kind of crazy. Because her death is it's like a top horror death of mine.
Yeah.
Because it's just outlandish.
Well, it is outlandish, but at the same time,
I would fall for it.
it's real. It could happen.
I would be in the crowd like, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I'm not thinking that somebody's actually dying. And
of course not.
what was the movie we watched where that basically we were talking about it. With the popcorn.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Shit.
Oh my God. What? Dude, that's wild. What if they somehow there's no way Wes Craven watched Popcorn.
I mean, he could
and
have.
was like, yeah, in about 10, 15 years.
It only came out maybe 6-7 years apart when you think about it.
Oh,
Popcorn,
it was 90.
Popcorn came out in the 90s.
91.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I always think it's an 80s movie.
Yeah, me too.
That's why I said 10, 15 years.
But yeah, that whole concept.
That whole concept was
and it plays with the whole William Castle effects and shit happening during movies.
We're just ahead of our game.
Yeah. We
are. I don't think anybody in the history of talking about Screams has ever mentioned the movie Popcorn.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. 100%.
That's why we come in with the hard-hitting facts. I mean, they're not facts. They're just ideas and theories. But still, that's interesting.
Yeah, they're just very strong opinions.
Because this is completely unscripted. We never planned on Popcorn.
True.
And now it's being brought up in later episodes because you realize as a horror fan, when you start watching stuff, movies are like other movies. And fuck, what was the one we just did where it was 8 of them?
Smile?
Smile was a bunch of them, and it's still a good movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is exactly what I expected out of this episode. It's going very smoothly. I feel like it's going very well. I'm enjoying this one a lot.
Yeah, it's very surprising.
It is because we're flowing. It's going.
Yeah.
It makes sense, I think. I'll know tomorrow for sure.
We'll see.
It's funny. Have you ever this isn't about the movie, it's about the podcast. Have you ever have I ever hit stop recording and we go outside and smoke and you've lied to my face about the episode?
No.
Okay, good.
Have you?
No.
Okay.
No, I'm honest.
True.
I'll be angry as a bitch sometimes.
That's very true.
Yeah. It's just crazy to me. If you ever watch, I don't think, was Scream ever in one of the movies that made us?
No.
No, it was Friday the 13th. Or it was Nightmare on Elm Street.
Nightmare on Elm Street,
Yeah, I was thinking, I remembered Wes Craven being brought up. But You know, Scream 2, you find out that the killer is the mom of Billy Loomis and that guy, Oliphant. I think it's Timothy Oliphant.
That sounds familiar. Yeah.
I think it is.
Yeah.
And like I said, from the next movies on, you realize why I'm so fucking irritated about this. It's not as bad as the movie being a dream or a game, but it's right up there. In the sense of, I've been watching this person or persons kill for an entire movie. And then I find out you're an old lady or a small lady or a small girl. It irks the piss out of me.
What I didn't like about that is there is no way the fact that Billy Loomis, being a high school student that snapped and killed some classmates, there's no way no one knew what his mom looked like. There's no way. Mm-mm. I don't care what kind of haircut she had.
Yeah.
Well, and do they mention
she's a reporter?
Yeah, reporter. They mention her having like plastic surgery or something.
Maybe. I don't know.
Still, come on.
You know I tune out.
It's not going to change your fucking voice.
Especially these movies I've seen 1,000 times. I don't pick up on all the small.
There's no way you know that. That's
so
because as soon as Sydney sees her, she knows exactly who she is.
Yeah, that's frustrating. But she also had seen her multiple times throughout this movie because she's that reporter lady.
True. She's like tagging behind Gale.
Yeah. All right. So the only other thing I wanted to ask you about, and it's definitely 1 and 2 based, is and 3. So I guess we'll get into it next week as well. But how do you feel about Sidney Prescott mom arc, the whole thing with Billy, and then leading up into all this other stuff?
Yeah, don't need it.
It's so pointless.
It is pointless,
and yet it's like a focal point.
But I feel like in Scream 1,
yeah,
it makes sense to an extent that Sidney's mom tore apart his family
because she was a hussy.
Yeah.
So I never know what to say in those situations.
2-bit hussy.
2-bit hussy.
So that triggered him to want to kill her.
Yeah.
As far as their friends, don't know about that.
But why does it always trickle down? It's like quid pro quo. Like it's tit for tat. Like what? Like, okay, your mom banged my dad, so I'm going to kill 8 people because it made me sad? And I'm going to make it seem like it was your dad who also got cheated on?
Damn.
What?
If he wanted,
come on, Stu, we're better than this.
If you wanted revenge, didn't they kill Sidney's mom?
Yeah, she
then
got
we're done.
brutally murdered.
We're even.
Fuck, dude. And
we are even.
And it's like built into the whole franchise, man. And it's not something that should be built off of.
It does go like
it's through
at least 3 movies deep.
Yeah. And like Sydney had her run. Jake always brought up a good point that maybe Sydney shouldn't be considered in the final girl category. Top final girl category because she always needed Gale and Dewey.
Is it Casey? Casey Becker.
Casey Becker. There you go. Yeah. It only took to the end of the episode for you to figure out the name. That's how this podcast works, ladies and gentlemen. Hard-hitting facts. But barely any names.
But yeah, Sydney runs with a crew.
She does. And it's not like it's a bad thing. But also,
you know what?
She's an upstairs runner.
But what sucks though is now Dewey's dead.
And how do you think? No, we're not going to get into.
And I feel like Sydney's not in part 6.
She's not. It's confirmed because she wanted more money.
So now it only means she's only good with the crew. One member's gone. She's out.
Oh my god!
I can't even face taking on Ghostface without Dewey. I'm good.
But the truth is, she just wanted more money.
Yeah, that's true.
She feels like she's been the face of the franchise for 30, 40 years.
I mean, she has been for a long time.
I just want to know her paycheck versus Jamie Lee Curtis.
But I feel like Courtney Cox is a bigger star than Neve Campbell.
Neve Campbell didn't do. I mean, she did Wild Things, which for its own reason got a lot of attention. But
Courtney Cox was, I'm good. And I got that friend's money. I'm good.
Yeah, Courtney Cox is chilling. Neve Campbell's by herself in signature areas of conventions. So I don't think she's as close.
And she's almost getting bumped into me.
Yeah, I don't think she's as close to the cast members as it comes across. I think she carries around that I should have been, which we're not going to get into that because, I know there's a lot of discrepancies about like women's pay and stuff, so I'm not diving into that right now. But if she feels like she's owed more and she backed out for that reason, I respect her. I'm not talking bad about that.
I get that, but of the main stars,
she's not.
David Arquette wasn't there. Courtney Cox wasn't there.
Yeah.
They don't. I say they don't need the money, but
No, David Arquette was like a wrestler.
they're not. They're big A-list, to me at least. A-list
I think
stars.
David Arquette's an A-list.
I feel like Courtney Cox is too.
Courtney Cox is definitely.
Yeah.
Drew Barrymore, way up there.
Nev Campbell,
Who?
Jamie Kennedy.
Yo, Jamie Kennedy, man. Have you seen him lately?
Looks like shit.
He is looking.
No offense to him.
Oh, also a funny story about the convention and Screamcast members. While me and Jake were sitting at our table, there was like security, like, where the fuck is Jamie Kennedy? We need him back here now.
They couldn't find
they're
him.
like, dude, I thought you had him. And it's just knowing the fact that Jamie Kennedy's probably just drunk wandering around a convention made me so happy because these are real people. Like, that's Malibu's Most Wanted.
Couldn't find him.
Couldn't find him.
Weren't they saying something about Skeet
awesome.
and Matthew Lillard going to like they were doing something afterwards?
Yeah, they went to it was like a bar and karaoke or something. Yeah. Oh, man, we missed out on stuff.
Yeah, we did.
But it was Texas, so it was stressful. I didn't want to be in that car more than I had.
We would have got fucking lost.
Oh, dude, so lost.
Find it anyway.
I would have just been looping around fucking DFW airport 700 more times before I ever found my way home. That fucking person in front of us, I just said, no, and just parked. I was like, I get it, bro. I get it. Me and Jake have been through 8 parking garages today alone.
That
oh my
was
God,
the
it was
best
the most
representation of the trip.
Yeah, that
Just
was
seeing them just stop.
Yeah. You weren't even behind the wheel. You were just sitting in the passenger seat. I was
It
having
was
to
still just
deal
fucking
with all the
confusing.
stress of fucking making the right turns and the wrong turns at airports. It's fucking scary.
Yeah.
Do you remember the bus ride
Yeah,
to get to the car rental place?
yeah.
Took 15 minutes and we never left the airport on a bus traveling at 45 miles an hour.
Yeah, that makes no sense.
Sorry. Texas Frightmare gets us every time.
So I guess we're about at that time.
We are. Do you want to rate each one?
Yeah.
All right. So give me Scream 1 and then give me Scream 2. Give
On
me
a
your
scale
ratings.
from 1 to 10,
Yep.
Scream 1 is a 9.
Damn.
To me, at least.
Okay.
Scream 2, like a strong 7.
Okay.
Yeah, what about you?
I go Scream 1, 9.
Okay.
Scream 2, 6, 2.
Okay.
Yep.
I feel like anywhere from 6 to 7 is good, I feel
Anywhere
like,
between
for
6 and
Scream
7 for Scream 2 is fine.
2. Yeah, 100%.
We agree. I definitely think that Scream 1 is a top tier horror movie. As you guys know, we will be covering 3 and 4 next week, so buckle up for that one. It might be our shortest episode to date, but we also did kind of talk about this before, and we thought this one's going to be short. We're still at our 45 minute mark, so we're doing great things over here at the J Squared Horror Podcast. Also, we have some very, very exciting news coming up after this whole Scream about month-ish. Once all the Scream stuff is done. Obviously, after we covered 3 and 4, we're going to be covering the newest one. And then after that, we got some super exciting news. Stay tuned for that. We are broadening the podcast even more than we ever dreamed of.
Yes, we are.
So be ready for that. Let's see. Comment down below. Oh, it does get hard sometimes, huh?
Yeah, when you're on the spot, it does get a little hard.
The flannels look good. Comment anywhere that we're available to be commented or emailed. The flannels
look good.
Because me and Jake both are rocking some Dixon flannels.
We are.
He's rocking the Myers. I'm rocking the Crystal Lake or the Jason. Which one's this called? I can't remember. Jason or something.
Yeah.
Anyways, they're great flannels. They told us no as far as being sponsored by them. So shout out to Dixon Flannel Company for keeping us humble. A big shout out to our main supporters. Jeff Balance, who does our design work. Lucky Riggs, who does our intro and our outro music. Trademark Printing, who does all of our printing needs. Thank you to Jake for always bringing the best co-host entertainment the guy could ask for.
I'm here.
Yeah, stay tuned next week. Scream 3 and 4. Don't have any other exciting news. No horror news this week. Sorry, guys. Didn't have time to look anything up. Don't forget, www.jsquaredhorrorpodcast.com. You guys can contact us there very easily, very organized. If you are a director, if you are a producer, if you're an actor and you want to be on the podcast, you'll know why here soon. So keep that in mind. www.jsquaredhorrorpodcast.com. Also, Paranormality Magazine, J2 Horror, 10% off. Support us. Support them. It's super cool if you do.
Yeah.
We are in the next 3 editions. We have an ad in it, and it's super adorable.
It is. It does look good.
It does look great. It's almost like 3 away from the last page. So, woo, we are doing things out here.
Make sure you read the entire magazine.
Yeah, go through the whole magazine. It's actually interesting.
Then you'll get to us.
So thank you guys so much for always tuning into the J Squared Horror Podcast. My name's Josh.
And I'm Jake.
You guys have a great week. And remember, it's hip to be squared.